Well, Happy New Year, everyone. Did you graduate 2020 Summa Cum Laude, or did you graduate Summa Cum Laude? Important question. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, lead, and inspire. You know, sometimes sayings have more than one meaning. Summa Cum Laude, okay, means you didn't learn anything, you just got louder. I have a saying that has changed in my life. I mean, years ago, a personal foul was when I had illegal contact with an opponent playing basketball. Today, personal foul is the chicken dish that they put on my plate that no one else is going to get to touch. But I digress. Let's talk about things that we learned in 2020. Let's put that year to bed and move on with 2021, shall we? All right, first thing that we learned. You must be under control to be in control. All right, if you had to pick who is the most admired person in America today, I would wager a fair amount of money that that title would go to Dr. Anthony Fauci. Clearly, he knows the dangers of the virus that we're facing right now better than anybody around. But he's always under control. So when he gives a directive, it's easier to follow it. You have to be under control to be in control of others. You can't be yelling, you can't be screaming, you can't be finger pointing. You must be under control. Why? Because people are starving for leadership, and in a time of crisis, they look to their leaders. Leadership is everything. Be under control to be in control. Crisis creates opportunity. Or let's put it a different way. Crisis creates creativity. All right? We're in a situation right now where you can't do this, you can't do that, so on and so forth. All right, but there are people that are saying, that's the situation the way it is, how can I make it better? Let me use kind of a morbid example. You know, we've had so many more funerals because of this thing. And so what have funeral homes, funeral parlors done? They realized you can't have an in-person funeral. They went to Zoom. So their business is unfortunately booming, and they found a way to make it happen. Does that make sense? There are so many different things, so many different voids. You know, the universe dislikes vacuums. And when there's a crisis, a vacuum is created. Fill the vacuum. How do you do that? You envision something better than it is, and you come up, first you try and reason it out logically, and if and when you get stuck, then you take your solution and you throw it out there to the infinite mind, and you ask for some input. You ask for some help from the infinite partner. That's one of the ways to be creative and be receptive to receive mind flashes and circumstances you couldn't predict or plan, and act upon them. Crisis creates opportunity. History repeats itself. Alrighty, we are now, I'm not talking, I mean, we've had the virus thing, all right, we still have the virus thing, and we had that, you know, at the end of World War I, 1918, all right, history repeats itself, but I'm thinking more in terms of the economic calamities that we're facing right now. What did they do during, you know, the New Deal? Well, they said, you know what, we need to put people to work, and our country needs to improve its infrastructure. What things do we need to improve? Here's a chance for the government to help everybody out. You know, you can't keep giving away money. You know, that's what we've been doing, and it's necessary. I mean, sometimes you have to. Okay, and this is a sometimes you have to. But that's not a long-term strategy. You can't just keep giving people money because you're going to run out. So the point is, we have to be able to do something productive and useful so that people can get back on their feet financially. One of the things that we need to do is correct the infrastructure throughout this country. I'm sure excuse me, I'm sure that there are other things that we need to do nationally, where climate control would be another one. Okay, I mean, there are so many different things that we need to do. Let's find those things, let's put people to work, and let's make the government useful, and let's put people back in a position where they're on their feet financially until they can reemerge in the workplace in their areas of expertise. Sometimes you have to survive before you can thrive, and this is one of those times. One of the things we have to avoid is over worrying. You know, yeah, there's a difference between worry and concern. I'm concerned. I don't go out into big groups. I try and minimize my contact. I listen to what the scientists are telling us. Social distancing, that type of thing. Wearing a mask all the time whenever I leave the house. You want to do those things. You want to protect yourself. But excess worrying is not good. And people do that not just for the virus. They do it in all forms of life. You know what worry is? Worry is paying interest before it's due. It's a misuse of your imagination. Take your imagination and put it in a positive posture and think to yourself, this is something better than what I have. How can I get there? See the end result, chunk it down, step by step by step, get to a starting line, reach an obstacle, discover a new starting line, and repeat the process. Don't over worry. Don't pay interest before it's due. A virus has neither a conscience nor does it have borders. Have we realized that here in the United States? We certainly have. Now, I'm not just talking about the obvious coronavirus. I'm talking about trains of thought. I'm talking about racism. One of the things that we made some progress but not enough was the Black Lives Matter movement. It was a virus that has lasted a relatively short period of time, but I'm not hearing about it in the news as much as we were a few months ago. And if you want those changes to be made, you've got to keep that on a front burner. Same thing with climate control, right? We've had unbelievable numbers of hurricanes this year. You know, we're watching the earth fight back at us because of all the stuff that we're emitting into the atmosphere. You know, I'm not an expert on that stuff. I don't know, but I do know something needs to be done about it, and that we're sitting on our hands and saying, well, it's not bothering me so much right now, I can live with it for now. You've got to nip it in the bud, as Barney Fife used to say. Nip it in the bud before it becomes super oppressive. And we have to take steps in that direction, because a virus doesn't have a conscience and it doesn't observe borders. The last thing I want to talk about on this line of graduating from 2020, things that we learned in 2020, is of a real personal nature. It is about my son Eli. Now, you don't know Eli obviously the way I know Eli, but I'll tell you one thing. Getting up early in the morning is not in his DNA. Eli is grouchy in the morning. Eli's not pleasant in the morning. He's beautiful after the morning, but he's not pleasant in the morning, except now he's having basketball practice, and the nerve of the coach is calling for basketball practice at 6 o'clock in the morning. So Eli has to get up, he has to be ready to rock and roll at 6 o'clock in the morning, in uniform, ready to play basketball. Why am I mentioning this? Because when your why is massive, it will motivate you to do what you have to do. Eli would no way on earth even be awake at 6 o'clock in the morning, let alone be starting basketball practice at that time, but his why is big enough because he wants to be a better basketball player. He wants to be on the team. He wants to be in front of people playing the game. His why is enormous. Is your why enormous? Is it enough to make you get up at an ungodly hour to get something done? Think about that. All right, we've learned a lot of lessons in 2020. Let's make use of them and enjoy a much better 2021. So now, the way I like to think of it is, well, I was 20 years old, now I'm 21, so I got all these new things that I can do. Please take that posture. And because we'll never end a meeting on a philosophical note, let's get out there and charge in 2021. I'm Eli's dad.